Good morning, my dear students. Welcome back. So, we'll start with our fourth chapter of history, that is economic development. Now, children, in this chapter, we are going to study India's economic policy. That includes a study of the mixed economy, 5-year plan, and their successes and failures, nationalization of banks, 20-point program, mill workers strike, and especially the new economic policy of 1991. So, we are going to complete a vast section over this lesson. So, we'll go in parts. Okay, so first we will start with mixed economy, and then as we move ahead we will start with one topics. So I will make maybe three parts of this lesson, okay, because it's a big lesson, so we'll have to make three parts or four parts. Now children, after independence there was a lot of discussion and brainstorming going on, as in which kind of economy would we adopt after independence. Before independence only this discussion started. Our Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru adopted the middle path rather than taking recourse to any extremes. Some countries had already adopted capitalism while some had adopted socialism. Each type of economy had its own advantages. In a capitalist system, the means of production are privately owned. In socialist economy, the means of production are owned by the state in the name of the society. A mixed economy works both in the private and the public sector. Now, see, children, instead of adopting something one or going very crucial with one thing, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru thought of having a mixed economy where both the capitalist as well as the socialist economy would be adopted. So here we have adopted the policy which includes both socialist as well as capitalist. So it's known as a mixed economy. A mixed economy works both in the private and the public sector. In order to achieve economic development of modern India, we gave preference to a model of mixed economy. Now we will see what we can see three parts of the kind of economy. Okay, first is the public sector. The industries in this sector are completely under the control and management of the government. For example, production of defense equipment. Now see children, public sector is which is directly under the control of government. So government is doing the whole functioning of that particular sector. So it is known as public sector. Here the example is production of defense equipments. Whatever is needed for the defense of India is made or looked after by the government. So it's totally in the hand of the government sector. Whatever industries come for defense equipment are under government. So they only manage and control the industry. Next is the private sector. The industries in this sector are owned by private industrialists. Of course, the government supervises and controls them too. For example, consumer goods. Now, if you see, there are so many things which are sold in the market. So, everything is not done by the government. There are some private sectors also. Private sectors are owned by the businessmen and entrepreneurs. Now, they are the ones who are producing and selling these goods. Whatever they are doing, the government is supervising, but they are doing it on their own. So, it is private sector. Next comes the joint sector of India. In this sector, some industries are owned by private industries while some are run under government management. So now in joint sector, both private as well as government industries are included. Okay. Now you understood three sectors: public sector, private sector and joint sector. Public sector, you keep in mind, that is under the supervision of government, and the government only takes complete control over public sector. Okay. Then comes the private sector. Private is private people, those who are like private industrialists, businessmen people, they are charge of it. Lastly, joint sector, both private and public sector comes under joint sector. For mixed economy children to run smoothly, there is a need of coordination between the private sector and the public sector. This system aims at maximization of production and popular participation on a large scale. Now, see, when we talk about smooth functioning of this mixed economy, we look forward to the coordination between both private as well as the public sector, and we aim for maximum production and popular participation on large scale. Okay, so that we can make maximum use of the resources which are available, and the production should be on a higher level, etc. An effort has been made in this system to bring together the good aspects of both the capitalist and the socialist system. Now see, in the mixed economy, we are trying to bring the good from both these things, from the public sector as well as the private sector. Yes. Now, a mixed economy cannot ignore the profit motive, entrepreneurship, discipline, time bound planning, etc. Now, a mixed economy has to go with all these things also. They cannot ignore the profit motive when we are doing any business or any thinking of economic development. We are firstly thinking of the profit. Yes or no? Whatever profit we are going to earn. Then entrepreneurship, how we are going to give it to the businessmen people, etc. Then discipline, there should be some framework. Out of that, it should be not crossing the limits. Time bound planning, it should be a time bound planning. So and so timing we are going to achieve so and so. A mixed economy also naturally tends to give priority to national interest. Now, automatically, mixed economy tends to give what you call priority to national interest. We have learned about our national interest in political science. I hope you all remember. So, the mixed economy focuses on the national interest also. Long term development is stressed upon with priority. Whatever is the investment, it should be a long term development. Okay, whatever we are doing, we should think about the long term development. The industries like defense, scientific research, education, roads, railways, waterways, seaport, and airport development require huge capital investment, but the returns in these areas are delayed. Not many private industries are keen to invest in these areas. In such a situation, the government has to take the initiative. Now, see, children, when we talk about industries like defense, scientific research, education, road, railways, waterways, seaport, airport development, etc., you think about the capital or the money which we need to invest for the development of such places, which is a huge amount. And there are not many people or not many investors who are willing to invest in these areas, because the returns which we get is very slowly. That means it needs a lot of investment, and then it takes a lot of time, and after that you get your returns slowly, and hence many of the entrepreneurs or the industrialists don't want to invest in these areas. In such cases, what happens, the government has to take the initiative, and the government has to do the development program for all of these areas. Yes. Thus, India adopted the mixed economy model and 5-year plan and started off its path of development. The industrial policy of 1973 increased the speed of development. Priority was given in this policy to control the influence of heavy industries, industrial families, and foreign industries, and remove the imbalance in regional development. Now, see, when the industrial policy of 1973 was introduced, there were certain things or certain changes which were brought. That was, priority was given to the policy. In the policy, the heavy industries, industrial families, and foreign industries were given more priority, and to remove the imbalance in the regional development. In a particular region, there is a lot of development, and the other region remains as it was. So, this kind of imbalance was to be removed. And the government focused on the development of small scale industries and cottage industries. Government also started paying more attention to the cooperative sectors. Now see, automatically government put a lot of attention to the small scale industries and the cottage industries where they could start up and then they could earn something. And government also started paying more attention to the cooperative sectors. So what are cooperative sectors? Cooperative sectors are children basically run by individuals, that means the industrialist, and it is in hand with the government, that means both together. Government also is involved and the industrialist also. So because it should not be totally a industrialist thing, government also should be involved in such cases. These cooperative sectors were given importance. Next, children, is the 5-year plan. The colonial power had exploited India economically. Obviously, when we are under the British rule, we were exploited economically. The country faced severe problems like poverty, unemployment, population growth, low standards of living, and low productivity of agriculture and industries, and backwardness in the fields of knowledge, science, and technology. Now in this case, now see, the condition was so bad that we were very much our education was not proper. The condition of India before the independence, or how it was made, was totally exploited by the Britishers, and hence there was a essential or a much needed planning was to be introduced to solve all of these problems. India established the Planning Commission in 1950 with Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru as its chairman. So after we got independence, the condition of India was so bad that people came together, the authorities came together and thought about it, and they saw that there is a need of the Planning Commission, and hence the Planning Commission was established in the year 1950 under the leadership of Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who was made the chairman of the Planning Commission. Okay. It formulated India's 5-year plans that include rural and agricultural development, balanced industrialization, provision for a maximum standard of living, and economic development consistent with democratic ideals. It focused on people's participation and individual development in the formulation of implementation of 5-year plan. Now children, basically what this 5-year plan included is the increase or the provision of minimum standard of living to each of the individual. So basically this Planning Commission thought of giving each and every individual basic things, yes, basic things which are of their necessity. Then bringing development in rural and agricultural sectors, then economic development consistent with democratic ideas. Then it also focused on people's participation and individual development. Okay, not only the whole of the country, but when you develop individually in terms of education, in terms of standard of living, etc., so automatically the development takes place. Hence they were what you call this 5-year plan, or the planning was done in such a way that overall development should take place for the what you call welfare of the country. Okay. Now there are some fundamental principles of planning. What are they, children? A general principle of planning is proportionate distribution of the resources of a country and the appropriate use of human resources to fulfill the needs of the people. Now the most important and the basic rule of planning is to distribute in a proper manner, proportionately, and whatever resources are available in the country, they should be used in a proper manner. It may be the raw materials or the natural resources, or it may be the manpower or the human resources. Okay, now we are going to see what are the goals of plans. So what are the goals of plans? The general goals of the economic planning of India are as follows: increase in the national income. So whatever income is going to come, it should increase. Bring about rapid industrialization by focusing on the basic industries. Now we are thinking of rapid industrialization, that means the growth of industries by focusing on basic industries which are basically needed. So the needs also are fulfilled and there is a rapid industrialization also. Third, bringing about an increase in agricultural production so that the country becomes self sufficient in food grain production. Now, see, thirdly, we are going to increase what? Agricultural production so that we don't need to depend on any other country. We are self sufficient in terms of food grain production. Okay. Next, use the human resources in the country optimally by making increased employment opportunities available. Now, we are going to see about the human resources also. So, we will think about the use of human resources in the country in a proper manner by increasing employment opportunities for them. Okay, there are many unemployed people, so we are thinking about the how we can give them employment or in what ways they can get employed. Okay. Next is remove the inequality in the earnings and wealth. So there is a lot of inequality if you have seen. This is a bit what you call difficult thing because we cannot remove any inequality in the earnings and wealth, but still we are trying. The rich is becoming richer and the poor is becoming poorer, so we are going to bring the difference. So we are trying to remove such type of inequality. Next is maintain stable prices of commodity. Yes, maintain stable prices. That means the proper price should be maintained for every commodity. One is selling it for very high, one is selling it for very low. That should not happen. Next, bring the growth in population under control by family planning. So, children, the population growth was taking place very much rapidly, and hence there was a need of bringing the population under control. So, there was a family planning which was introduced where you have to think about the needs of the family and simply don't that means go on giving birth to children, and then it becomes difficult to take care of them and give them basic necessities also. Okay. Then improve the standards of living by eradicating poverty. Standard of living should be improved. That means at least basic needs of the people should be fulfilled and they should live in a proper manner. Okay. For that we need to eradicate poverty. That means remove poverty from the country. Next, develop social services. Social services should be developed. Next, make the economy self-sufficient. Again, self-sufficiency is given more of importance because we should not be depending on any other country for our needs, and hence the main motive is for becoming self-sufficient. Whatever ways we can, we should become self-sufficient so that we don't need to depend on any other country. Now, children, will stop here. In the next video, we'll discuss about the 5-year plan, first, second, third, etc. By that time, you can go through the video and note down your doubts and ask in the next DCS, which will be during our history lecture, that is on Wednesday. Okay. For now, we'll stop here. Go through the video thoroughly. Read the textbook once again. And see that if you have any doubt, you can note it and keep it with you and you can ask it later. Okay, children, I'll be sending notes also in this coming week of this chapter so that we complete it first. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.